Alright, I haven't made a video in a very long time, so I'm going to do a video on how to make a cool little patched cable. And all you need is 2 jacks. I got these ones here. These are okay. They're not like anything branded, but one thing to take note on is the sleeve here. Make sure it doesn't twist. Make sure it's like one part, because I find on the really cheap ones that this spins and there's actually not a great connection. So and it can cause a failure. So yeah, make sure you get like something that it looks like it's all formed. This one here is all formed in one piece. So it makes a massive difference in the quality of these, and also that it actually like stays in there. I find like a cheap ones, when you push it in, it can just slide out. So this has quite a good, like a purchase in there, and that makes a big difference. I use this little Behringer professional cable tester to make the patch cables on. Just makes it sort of easy, and so not like holding stuff, because I can't hold stuff because I'm going to be soldering. I like to use, I really don't know if you really need to, but I use a shielded cable, and I find, I don't know, well, I guess because it's shielded, it'd probably stop a bit of noise. And then I like to coat the cable with some of this cable cover, just to customize it so I know that it's mine, and yeah, just make it look better than just nothing on it. Alright, so I get started. I should show you guys here, this is the cable that we're going to make. Obviously it's going to be a different color. I like to keep a different color for every time I make a batch. That way I know, like, that's my first batch I've ever made, and the second batch, if there's something wrong or the way I'm doing it, I can look at the batch and hopefully make it better next time. So this would be, I think this is my 4th batch of patch cables that I just made them for myself. So you need to strip back a decent amount. All right, each side. Okay, and this is the painful part, is getting this shielding undone. It's a real pain to undo, and it takes a long time, so I might speed this up. Okay, so my phone ran out of memory, so I've already stripped these back. It was very painful, very messy. I'm not the best at doing it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to open these up. Okay, so just 2 screws on the back. Okay, one thing you'll notice on these ones here, this is another sign that the jack's a little bit better quality. It actually has somewhere for you to solder both the positive and the earth. On the cheap ones, they expect you to solder onto the case, or literally just have the shielding touching the case, and you just clamp it in. That's what holds it in place, but that's not really good. I'd rather solder it in. All right, so we need to strip back these 2 points. You don't need too much. Okay, I'm going to use my little helping hand here to hold the cable in place, and just a little bit of solder. Oh yes. You gotta plug your soldering iron in. Okay, so I found, this is, while my iron's heating up, this is the first patch cable I ever made. And this here, you can see, just spins around. So there's like no connection on there at all. It's actually really quite terrible. And it's just really intimate if it's working or not. And as you can see, there's no soldering points, so it's just literally just clamps into there. Also, you'll see here, like, it's good that it's thin, but tell you what, I had to put hot glue onto the top of these inside, so I wouldn't run the risk of it shorting out. Well, these ones have a lot of room, and yeah, very unlikely it's going to short out if the cable's moving and that wire is going to touch the top. Okay. All right, I think this is hot enough. Let's go have a look. Yep, that's pretty good. One thing when you're first starting with soldering is to look into how to look after your soldering iron, your soldering tip. I got this tip secondhand, and the soldering iron secondhand. The tip was completely gone, and I was really frustrated and heating things up. It just wasn't transferring the heat at all. And I just bought a new tip, and yeah, it just made a massive difference to working. So just gonna pre-solder these. Okay, I'm free undone the other one while I was waiting, the other jack here. So just gonna put some solder onto these. All right. Doesn't matter really which one you put on, you just gotta make sure it's all the same. So the blue one's gonna be this top one here. Is that one done? As I was editing that, I realized I should have explained something. So there's really two parts to these jacks. You got the tip here and the sleeve. Okay, the sleeve is, well, the earth, and then the tip's the positive. And the tip goes from here and it comes all the way at the back here through, it must be a rod in the center, and it connects to here. So this one here coming out is the tip, and then this one here is a sleeve. Okay, and that's just connected all to the case from here all the way back, and it's got a little place where you can solder onto there. So just to make it a little bit clear of what I was doing there, I didn't make it very clear. So it could be that one. All right, so that's those two connected, and now we're going to, just gonna fold back this with here, put some solder onto it. Put some solder onto the side here. Let's stick this down. That didn't stick at all. Takes a while to heat up these casings. Sometimes I find you gotta scratch a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, that's held into place. Okay, the outside is completely shielded anyway from that shaft. All right, so that's what it looks like. One thing you can do, one thing you should do, wow, that's red hot. Is make sure that you haven't gone through too far, and that this hot cable here has gone through and is touching the casing. Okay, it's one thing you want to check. This one's all right, it's fine. But then, yeah, if it's doing that, it's going to earth out. When you plug it in, nothing's going to work. All right, so that's one side. Actually, what we need to do now is, still red hot. We'll size this up and cut it to size. Okay, so I'm going to cut this cable cover to size. You want to make it a fair bit longer. You can always cut it shorter because when you put it on, it actually shrinks. So just pull it back. I made a mistake. I should have put this stuff on before I even cut the cable, trimmed the cable back. That's okay. Just feeding it through. It's pretty good. Okay, and then we need to put some heat shrink wrap on there to stop this from fraying. I got this one here. It's pretty big actually, but all right. That's on there. I normally use a cigarette lighter for this, but mine got stolen. It's just a really good neighborhood. I left it outside, saying it was gone. All right, boom. That's done. That's good. All right, we'll do the other side now. Okay, use my helping hand here. Wire strippers, and yeah, don't take off a great deal, just a little bit. Make them into little points, and then just a bit of solder. Okay. You don't always have to like pre-solder these. You could stick that into the hole, but I don't know. I'm just gonna do it the same way I did before. Solder that one. Solder this one. Okay. One thing you want to do is you want to really make sure that when you make these, because the cable's going to be shaped like this. When you solder it so make the shape and where they're going to face, because the pedal's going to be here and here. Make it into that shape, like where it's going to be, and then solder it into that position. It makes a really big difference. Okay, so the blue was the outside one. And the white one. Is the earth. Okay. We'll heat this one up a little bit longer this time. To stick this on. Running away from me. There we go, that's stuck to the side there. Okay, make sure that this is gonna sit nicely. Fold this back. Oh, it's red hot. Sure we didn't put any solder onto this. There we go. I made a massive mistake. I did not put the shielding on. So this all has to come undone. I haven't done this in ages. So I'm like super rusty. All right. Heat shrink. Should use scissors for this. Cut it neat up. Oh god, it's real amateur. Okay, let's put these back on. Butchered that. Okay, it's really just a hold in the place so it doesn't creep up over here, you know. All right, so heat shrink, push all this forward, that forward. Okay. All right, that's good. Okay. This one here needs more up here. All right, that's really good. Now it's just a matter of sticking these back on. If you're just starting to do this, it's a good idea to test it before you screw it together. I don't know, I feel like it seems to be okay. We can test it. Yep, she's working good. It's fine, no problems. Make sure it's screwed on pretty good. Another thing with those cheaper jacks, they'll just thread out sometimes when you're screwing them in. It's just horrible. I made 10 patch cables with that stuff and it was just pure hell. I was so glad to find these, and they weren't expensive at all. I just got them off of eBay. But yeah, that's the patch cable. Thanks for watching.